This is, for me, the line in the sand, because this is somebody who has consistently risked it all. He has consistently been right. He was consistently praised for it until all of a sudden he's done it with the wrong people. Hit the notification bell. Join Mug Club so you get the show every day. 45 minutes. LoudOutScutter.com/Mug Club. It's $99 for the year. You get this hand-etched mug. $69 if you're a student, veteran, active military. Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. When it comes to free speech, when it comes to comedies, we'll discuss in this case, when it comes to how far you'll let the progressive agenda be pushed, what's your line in the sand? The line where you go from a conversation to, showing them your war face. Comment below. For me, actually, certainly with comedy, it's Norm Macdonald. So let me explain. Yeah. Hashtag I'm with Norm. Obviously, if you haven't been following this, the left picked their latest target. They successfully protested Norm to the point that he was canceled from the Tonight Show. And to be fair, he then said that he actually withdrew because everyone was crying, and Fallon came back. He did an interview with Howard Stern, was very tactful. That's beside the point. This is why there was the outrage in the first place. I think that's what's most important. Marley was dead to begin with. His comment was, I'm happy that hashtag the Me Too movement has slowed down a little bit. It used to be 100 women can't be lying, and then it became one woman can't lie, and that became I believe all women. And you're like, what? That's the exact quote. And make the case why I actually think it should be everybody's to a degree, or certainly he should be in your Rushmore of faces as far as lines. Let me state this emphatically. Norm Macdonald is the most important voice in all of comedy today. Period. Bar none.
Him.
Of course, you precious. Of course.
Now, Norm is way funnier than me.
No,
it hurt to hear it.
You're right. But Norm is funnier than all of us. Let's be honest. Why is it so important? And we'll get into Norm's history. If you haven't, a lot of people in our generation don't really appreciate just how much of a trailblazer he is. I think he's the most important comedic voice, honestly, since Lenny Bruce. If you look at his catalog and you look at the influence, you look at the impact and specific decisions. We've talked about kind of moments where the culture pivoted. Norm was the catalyst for a lot of those. And if the left, the progressive left, silences Norm Macdonald successfully, the entire landscape of comedy changes forever.
This is Comedians and Addicts Getting Porridge.
So the SS says, I've never paid $25 for a garbanzo bean. It's porridge. It's what you need to know. Okay. Have you heard the one about the Gestapo who goes into the bar? Oh, okay. Bartender. Good guy, good business. Tuesday, not that busy. In walks the Gestapo. Do you think he heard us?
Tell me, what does the Gestapo say?
Dude, that's so funny.
All right, thank you.
Good editing, boys.
You good job. You finally got you got the German down before. When it started, remember we started doing this. He was sounding like Adam Sandler for some reason.
I can't do German. I can't do German.
I can't do any accent. I hear you.
The Gestapo are coming.
The garbanzo bean.
That's what you were doing. I don't want any garbanzo beans. I don't want any garbanzo beans. Okay, so here's the thing. At one point, you'd find everyone in the industry to agree, but this outrage, this protest was it's been a long time brewing.
Yeah.
Norm has always been known for speaking truth to power, but lately he's kind of been under the radar, unfortunately for the left, but fortunately for us, pushing all of the right buttons. You see it here.
Well, because I think she's the most corrupt person that we've ever had in the White House. I mean,
obviously, right?
There's so many terrible things that she's done that we forget. But there was one that, I don't know why this was swept under the rug, but she went into the IRS and looked at political enemies' tax returns.
And something we'll continue on. He knows exactly why, but I don't know why. He knows exactly why. The guy has an unbelievable IQ. He's an actual genius, and here he is actually putting a finer point on what we know to be completely true of comedy in the era of Trump. But he vocalizes it. He crystallizes it perfectly.
It's more difficult in the time of Trump for good comedians, and it's way easier for bad comedians. You don't have a worldview by just saying you don't like Trump. You know what I mean? That doesn't count. Like you can't just say I hate Trump, and that makes you a good person. And the Democrats just can't say I hate Trump, and that means they have a position. That's no position. So for idiots, it's an easier time because you go, well, that guy's the idiot, not me.
And what's funny, he's speaking this generality, but okay, what kind of comedians do you think he's speaking about specifically, if you mentally add it up?
And at every turn, he continues to remind us that he's just fundamentally unfit for the job of president.
He's thinking that by acting crazy, he'll strengthen Rex's hand with the negotiations. You know, it's the old good cop, bad president routine. I understand it.
That's why Hillary lost. A real president doesn't write books. They write tweets.
I don't know how that Jay Renault has a show. I thought he was too busy kicking out white farmers. The left constantly talks about bravery. Norm just fired a shot over the bow of every single gatekeeper in the business in which he makes a living.
Ballsy.
That's what this is about. The reason, and I actually mean the hashtag I'm with Norm is so important to me is because whether Norm Macdonald admits it or not, and he probably never would, he's always been a person compelled to speak truth against corrupt authority. Do you remember the reason he was fired from SNL? A lot of people, again, in this generation don't necessarily know. You remember that whole debacle?
Yeah, he's one of my heroes for many reasons, but this was one of them.
This was one. I remember as a kid, same thing for me. I always talked about my dad would videotape Letterman. So I remember seeing an interview with Norm where he talked about this. It was because of Dan Ohlmeyer, I think is how it's pronounced. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. He was the executive at NBC. He was buddies with OJ, and he didn't want Norm to keep doing the OJ and Michael Jackson jokes. They warned him. Remember, they said, don't do the OJ and Michael Jackson jokes. They asked him not. These were the people with his paycheck. They said, don't do this. And by the way, we all saw how that turned out.
In his book, O.J. Simpson says that he would have taken a bullet or stood in front of a train for Nicole. Man, I'm going to tell you, that is some bad luck when the one guy who would have died for you kills you. He became the first defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy. And congratulations, Charles. That is something that no one can ever take away from you. Unless you kill your wife and a waiter, in which case...
Look at the guy. He's upset. Look, the one guy's upset. Nah, man, I ain't even about that.
Simpson's
You should be.
lawyers have decided to skip hearings on DNA evidence and go right to trial. Asked why they did this, the lawyers replied, we want to get O.J. acquitted as speedily as possible so he can get back to doing what he does best, killing people.
Michael Jackson. He said, I heard a quote where he said, I don't care if my child is a boy or a girl, as long as it's a boy. He's going to name it. He said he doesn't know what he's going to name it. He said he thinks if it's a girl, he's going to name it Sharon. Really? Yeah. And if it's a boy, he's going to have sex with it.
I love it.
I love it.
Because he's relentlessly beating a society over the head for stuff that we all know is true.
Right. Yeah.
It's like when no comic would make fun of Caitlyn Jenner being Woman of the Year. It's like, I was just like, someone. Yeah.
So that's what he said. Remember that reaction? That one guy was like, oh, like, what, you're offended?
Racist.
You're offended? Yeah. And then, I wonder if that guy nowadays looks back and goes, man, you know, I did kind of get screwed though with the "if I did it" book. I do look kind of dumb. Here's something else. You know, the reason I'm showing it, these are long clips. I want this pounded into your skull as to how important Norm has been on the landscape of comedy and how we use the term fearless. I don't know if he's fearless. I don't know if he's afraid before he goes on these shows or not. But if we're going to use the term bravery, Norm is comedy bravery personified. He was banned from The View for a long time. You know why? Because of this joke he made about Bill Clinton being a murderer.
I think we should get the homicide out of the White House and get like a fresh start, because we don't want any more murderers.
I think we should just go on to the next question. Murderers. Yeah.
Oh, Clinton, he murdered a guy.
Yeah, you know, you're not going to ask the next question.
I thought it was a matter of record.
Let it go. He just will not let it out of his teeth.
And Barbara Walters, I thought you were supposed to be funny. Well, thanks, because we're relying on you. We spoke about Norm not long ago, and we were looking for that clip. We couldn't find it anywhere on YouTube about a year and a half ago. I remember we searched for about 3 hours until we just had to say, okay, we're going to have to scrap this. It was scrubbed from YouTube.
Yep.
The bit about Bill Clinton killing somebody.
Incredibly ballsy from a guy who, this industry, they have all the money and they have all the power. What do we do? The only thing that we can do really is just not watch. But
what did Colin Kaepernick sacrifice?
Exactly.
This guy has consistently at least been willing to sacrifice anything and lost his job at the biggest, most hit comedy show on television at that point in time in the 90s. This guy, he went away for a long time. A lot of people, what is Norm up to? Except in the world of comedy. He's been a comedian for a long time. The reason that hashtag I'm with Norm, which is what I'm calling, is so important, he's not just a comedian. He's a veritable authoritarianism weather stick. He is a comedian with the single most stellar track record for using comedy to shine a light on the real taboos of our time. You know, to simplify it, if Norm Macdonald is pushing back against something, that tells you that it's wrong, whatever it may be. He's almost always right.
He's batting 1,000.
He is.
Yeah, like if you go back in time, you start realizing how stupid we were in certain points in history where we would go along with nonsense.
Right. Well, here's the best part, too. I know that you'll appreciate particularly, you not so much, but, unlike Samantha Bee, unlike Seth Meyers, Norm speaks not just through outrage, not through protests, not through bumping elbows with the right politicians at correspondence dinners every single year, but through funny.
Yeah.
It's why for decades comedians have unilaterally there is almost people use the term consensus as far consensus doesn't determine science, but consensus when it comes to a comedian, it's very, very hard to get on comedy. And Norm, from those who practice comedy, they unilaterally agree he's as good as anyone has ever been.
To this day, I've never interviewed anybody like Norm Macdonald.
Very talented actor. Nobody funnier. Ladies and gentlemen, Norm Macdonald.
And now you have today's gaggle of non-comedian comedians. They're all coming for him. It shows us who they. This is why this is so important to Norms. It shows us exactly who they are, and it shows us where the real cultural censorship lies. I'm typically not in the business of hashtags or movements in the same way that a lot of people on the right are. But I would ask everyone to comment below, tweet, Instagram, Norm, that you're with him. You don't have to be hashtagging with Norm, but if he's playing in your city, go see him. Watch his show. Just let him see that you support him, because right now he's being surrounded by people in this industry who are letting him know that he has to apologize, who are letting him know that Jimmy Fallon talking about people coming and crying for his Me Too comments. So it is important that he see that you guys are out there. And I know he'll probably play it off and he'll probably be embarrassed by the support, but let me restate this here. If the left successfully silences Norm Macdonald in any capacity, everything could be lost. Why? Because this right now, to me, is the most egregious, blatant example of the left taking someone out for using their words. Worse, taking a comedian out for using his words. Worse, taking a comedian out specifically for using his words against them. The leftist mob kneecapping Norm Macdonald is petrifying to me, because in the past, I've taken people into the back room and roughed them up in the shadows, right? Like you were dropped by I know I was dropped by my manager and agent. Was it your manager?
Manager and agent, for me saying that there's no trans kids and hormone blockers are bad. And my agent was like, if you apologize publicly, we'll keep you at CAA. I'm like, are you intentionally trying to be biblical?
Yeah. I had the same thing.
Like the world for my soul? Are you doing that on purpose?
Biblical? It was a guy named Eli. And he called, I swear to you, he called me. He's like, I don't know if you're doing like a Colbert thing with being so right. And I'm like, you can't comprehend someone being moderately traditionally conservative like myself. Like, I'm not even that far right.
Dude, my agent's name was Judas.
It should have been a sign.
The writing was on the wall.
Let you know.
The reason I think this is so important with Norm is that it used to be like, behind the scenes, your manager, your agent would drop you. You wouldn't be invited to the dinners, right? You got excluded from all the talk shows. But now, if they successfully carry out this execution against Norm, that's exactly what it is. It's the equivalent to a public execution, right in the middle of the street. It's just like the left, they're so scared. Often we say, if they would be so bold, or if this person's so scared, often scared people make bold moves because they're cowards. And even worse when they're in a mob, and that's what you see with the left. It shows us that the left is so scared they'll do anything to silence criticism, even if you see the mild comments from Norm Macdonald and Me Too. It isn't about shining a light on the left's modus operandi anymore. We've already done that. I know you've already done that. Norm's already done that. They don't care. They don't care. They're not even trying to keep it a secret. That's what's so startling to me. Norm Macdonald, what they're doing right now is about punishment. It's about the left trying to make a public example of him. And when it comes to the free speech fight, when it comes to the direction I want to see for comedy, when it comes to the gaggle of late night hosts, comedians, executives, producers, their media brethren and their symbiotic leftist hate mob and the blatant attempt to silence any dissent, this is for me the line in the sand, because this is somebody who has consistently risked it all. He has consistently been right. He was consistently praised for it until all of a sudden he's done it with the wrong people. This is why #I'm with Norm.
The Gestapo did nothing. He was very pleasant and clearly had the moral superiority. And very brave. He was very brave. But that's not even funny, though.
Hey there, YouTube viewer. If you like this video, I would say subscribe, hit the notification bell, or watch one of these videos playing in a box that we've personally uploaded and programmed for your viewing pleasure. The problem is now, in today's day and age on YouTube in 2018, any of those three things that you do, any of those three buttons that you click will take you directly to a Seth Meyers video. So stay here and join Mug. Get off of here. Go to loudwithcrowder.com/mugclub. It's the only safe place you can go and join.